first things first, Brightspace, and even how you, thank you very much, and even how you get to even Brightspace, how do we even get started? So what I'll show you is I'm going to just back up for just a minute. If we just go to regular Google, just like, oops, wrong one. Sorry, let me just get to my regular Google, just .com. And what I'm going to encourage is if you want to, if you have any questions as we go along, please let me know and just put them in the chat pod or just unmute yourself. Either way works for me. I'd be more than happy to hear the questions as we go. And what I'm going to do is here we are in the Google page right here. And I'm going to click on this waffle, the app waffle, and anything we have integrated in TLDSB with the Google environment, which is what we've worked very hard with this year. There's a lot of well-known products, even like ArcGIS and a few other products that are out there. Zello, we have gone down the Google road. So that's just one less thing you have to remember. So it's just a click on the Google piece and then you're in. So we've done the same thing with Brightspace. That was just the case as of last spring. So if you go down the waffle, this would be the same for yourself and for your students. So you just scroll down and you're going to find Brightspace. So it doesn't have a very nice icon or anything attached to it. And unfortunately, once it's been created, we can't seem to change that icon. But regardless of visual effects, Brightspace is here. So we click on that guy, opens up a new tab. I'm just going to close my other tabs here. And you're going to see Brightspace hopefully here in just a moment, just slowly loading, probably due to the Google Meet. All right, excellent. So this right here is when you log in, you're now into your TLDSB Brightspace world. When you get in here, it'll be very similar features as what I see here. I'm in my teacher account, so there's nothing fancy. And if you didn't notice that when I actually, so if I just log out, just because I think I did that fairly quickly, that landing page when you get here looks like this. So what happens is like, well, where do I go? This is where we all are going to go. And eventually my goal is to have this is not even going to exist, is that if you're logged into your Chrome account, you just go straight into the environment. But we're just cleaning house a little bit with our VLC and our alternative education centers, just so that we don't need to have this portal. This is like a kind of a backdoor entrance. So it's probably more information you need to know. But basically when you get here, you and your students, no question about it, just click on the first button.
So Tina, just to confirm, yes. I clicked the little waffle myself,
yes.
And that screen that you just had up did not show up.
Okay, what did it show you?
It says Trillium Lakelands District School Board, welcome myself.
Oh, and so you're already in, so it's just like this?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. So if you didn't have that page, then it already pushed you right into the page based on your Google authentication. So that's really good to know. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. And I think that just happened to me now too, thinking that maybe I just bypassed that login page, but maybe it just actually had me go straight in. So that's great. All right, if you want to take a moment too, anybody else in the room, I don't know if you want to tab over and just quickly just take a moment and go for it and just see if you can quickly find that Brightspace option. Now, keep in mind, if you're not logged into your school account, all those kind of variables, you could have issues. Tammy, you don't need to have a school computer. All you need to do is be logged in under your Trillium account. So like in Google Chrome, you'll see that I'm in Google Chrome. And I'm on just a MacBook, and I'm just logged in Google Chrome with my tina.franzen@tldsb.on.ca account. That's all you need to be able to get logged in. So if you have any troubles though, Tammy, don't freak out about it. Just try if you would like, and then I can always troubleshoot with you afterwards. Okay, I'll just give another moment for everyone just to try it, just to get in if they like. And then when you're ready, come back to the Google Meet page for just a second, that tab. And if you can't find the Google Meet tab, it is the tab which has the little green hook to it, which looks like a little speech bubble. And it has a little white camera in it. And then I'll show you the features of Brightspace so you can be comfortable with it. And what maybe look different from a student perspective and what might look the same for you as a staff member. And what I love is I'm going to show you how, hey, well, if I want to see what a student sees, I can show you what that looks like as well. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm going to continue now, unless you need more time, but just please indicate so quickly in the chat pod or just unmute your mic and just let me know. Otherwise, if we could just come back to the Meet page, and I will now go through, I'm just basically going to work my way from the top to the bottom, just so you know what's what. So very first thing, what's really handy is actually this logo here, the Trillium Lake Lines. No matter where you navigate to in your Brightspace environment, if you click on the Trillium Lake Lines logo, it'll always take you back to this landing page. So that could be a really nice known thing where you feel like you're like, well, how did I get here? How do I get back to the beginning? This is like your nice landing page. Click on that and it'll take you right back to the main page that you see right here. This here is kind of like the app waffle that we just saw, except instead of applications, these are actual courses that you're tied to. So some of you, if you look through it, you'll see, wow, those are courses like going back from like 2012, 2013, and so on and so on. And if you're a secondary teacher, and if you've maybe had lots of sections over the years, you can see lots of courses loaded here. Totally fine. That is normal. And we cannot just, if you're going to ask, can I just get rid of those? Can I not be connected to those? No, that's like basically like archived data. It's not a big deal if you happen to be connected to it or not. Oh, I just saw Dawn just jump in. Hi, Dawn. All right, sorry, I want to interrupt. So please note that it doesn't really matter what courses you see there. They're all going to be there as archived to you. But what's really handy is you'll notice that I have courses that are pinned. So when you do a search and you want to find, well, let's say for this year, what are my courses that I'm tied to? I'm going to show you a trick. So 1920 is going to be the naming convention I use for any courses that were created automatically through PowerSchool. So keep that in mind as well. That would, because it talks to PowerSchool, that's how these courses were created. And then I just did some stuff in the back end and I made it for 1920. So if I did a search for 1920, you'll see all the courses that you're assigned to this year. Okay, and mine's going to look very different than yours just due to my role. But if you did that, and let's say you found a course that's like, oh, that's my course for this year, and I want this to be pinned so that it's always visible at the top when I open up the waffle, you can actually click on this pin. So I'm going to give you a moment if you wanted to, for those of you who are in Brightspace right now, if you want to take a moment, tab over, meaning going back to your Brightspace environment, why don't you do a search, see what comes up, and feel free to pin. As you can see, it's a closed dark pin versus a light pin as to which courses are going to be always at the top when you go here versus down below. So I'll just pause here for a moment, and while doing so, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw it in while people take a moment to play.
Tina, I'm a little confused where you got the 1920 from.
Okay, so 1920, and you didn't see it maybe in my search because it's really bad here. 1920 is for the year 19, like it's not the year 1920, but because we're in 2019, 20.
Gotcha. Sorry, my bad.
No, it's just a bad year to reference to that. And I'm so blind in yes. So there you go. That is, so 2019-2020, just amalgamated with the two last numbers, okay?
Right.
Okay, so hopefully you had a moment and you could see where your courses are that you're attached to. There may be some courses like, how am I attached to that or whatever. There is some weird anomalies that happen sometime in the back end. But like I said, it's not actually a big deal. And you may even be thinking, well, what does this mean when I'm attached to a course? We're going to get there, so don't worry too much about it. But I just wanted you to be aware of how you can find your courses for down the road. And same thing for students. So students who are, let's say, in your ENG 3C course for now, they would actually see this listed there. But the only difference being is that teachers see all the courses regardless, but students need to have the courses activated. And I'm going to show you how you would activate your course if you wanted so that students could see it and then participate in your course. So there's actually a switch you have to turn on for your course to do that. And again, I'm going to kind of jumping ahead because the courses, you probably have no idea what that even looks like or if you even want kids in there, but we're going to get there. So that's the waffle. So I'm going to have you come back to the Google Meet page if you've navigated away. And I'm just going to move myself across here. This is very quick and simple. This is message alerts. So these are like notifications, things like that. So you don't have to worry too much about these. They're not used a whole lot. just because we already have our communication tool through Google, we don't really utilize these tools. Like I know in maybe back in the day, and this is called a learning management system. In a learning management system, maybe we would do all our correspondence by email through the platform, something like this, but that's not necessarily how we'd probably go ahead and communicate here. Moving over to the right, and then you have your profile. If you do click on your name, you do see some options, such as one of the things I was mentioning, view as a student. So I love that, like that's the frustrating piece I know for people who are in Google Classroom, for example. It's like, well, what do the students see? So I'm always trying to take screen captures and like, this is teacher view, this is student view, teacher view, student view. But what's nice here in Brightspace is I don't have to do that. You can actually yourself just toggle to the view as a student. And if you wanted to try that, and I will show you how we can turn that off. So if you click on view as a student, you would see what students would see. And then I can show you how you can just turn that off and go view back as yourself. So you can choose to keep looking at my page, or you can look at your page. If you did want to switch to a student, I'll leave that up to you. And then I'll just draw your attention to a couple little things that you're going to see here as a student in comparison to what you're going to see as a staff member.
Can you show me that again, how you got the student view versus your view?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just your name at the very top. You just click on your name, and then you'll see the option is view as a student. Hopefully you see that. Oh, and I see some messages already in the box there.
And how do I get out of that then?
Good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that, and I'm going to show you that next. But before I do that, if you don't mind for just a second, one thing I want you to notice is that along the top, this is our nav bar. And if you click on this arrow, we actually see more. So this is where the icons are. So if you're on a different screen right now, all I did was click on the drop down arrow there, and you can see all these icons. So these are all based on students. So this is for their quick and easy access so they can get to these products. Okay, so for example, Zello is like the old career cruising. There is a different link for students versus staff. So staffs, just because I have them as a role, I did specifically when they come in as a student, they would only, of course, have access to the student link to Zello, and you as a staff would then have a link to the staff side. So I just wanted you to be aware of what this looks like, because what I'm going to do is show you now how to jump out of the student view, and then you're going to see way more tools as the educator. But I didn't want you assuming that the students see everything that you see. So to click out of being a student, I actually click on my name again, viewing as a student, and there's an X. So all I have to do is click on the X. So I'll give you a moment. If you changed your view and you want to change it back, just click on your name, click on the X, and then you're able to jump back out. Now, if you don't mind, back to the nav bar, we can click on the drop-down arrow again, and you can see the icons are very, very similar. In the back end, for a lot of these environments, I would have created something a little bit different for you versus a student. Like the Zello is just a prime example of that. But what's really nice for the most part is like for the Sora, for Encore. If you have not seen Encore yet, it's fantastic resources that the elementary and secondary curriculum people have purchased for access to great video resources. So after this session, of course, I highly recommend you exploring that. And what's nice is being in the Brightspace environment is that not only you can see this, but your students can see it. Quick and easy access to MathSpace. If you're not certain what MathSpace is, I can show you where I've had some sessions on this already, and where I have some resources and videos on this. It's fantastic. Edwin platform, if you happen to use Edwin environment, and so on and so on. This course registration, this is, of course, something the students did not see. This is something that you will see, but it's very important, and I will talk about that in a minute as to why this is there. And of course, I made it the very first icon there. Okay, but I'm going to navigate away from the nav bar, and I'm just going to scroll down. And as you can see, very specifically, I have Trillium Lakelands District School Board listed there because this is like the main landing page for all educators and students. because of course, as I mentioned, you're going to have courses that you can navigate to, but I want to make sure it was very distinguishable between your course page and the landing page. What you'll see is that there's going to be preview courses, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, but there's a news item here in the middle, and your courses could have this too, where you have announcements. So if you have something important you want the students to know, very similar to Google Classroom in this stream, you can choose to put in announcements here. Now, when I put announcements in here, I can actually distinguish my announcements between students and staff, or both. So the equation one, for example, there's just a brand new integration that came in this week where you can do math stuff. So whether it's graphing, equations, and so on, right in this environment, the Brightspace environment. I, of course, let everybody know about that. However, this welcome to your Brightspace landing page may have been distinguished, the conditionally released may have been distinguished between student versus staff. So that's kind of neat when I can do that, so that we have pertinent announcements, and again, teachers, how to activate your course and all these kind of things. So I try to, navigate my announcements to you guys. Not that many people have been here quite yet. But you know what, as Iggy mentioned, hey, there's a lot of talking about it, and I know the ministry is really encouraging the use of it, just because you'll see that there's a lot of course content stuff that you could use here that can make your life a lot easier. A new quiz builder and so on. So you can go through these at any time. There is a section here at the bottom while I'm here that does talk about access to Google Apps. So this is where you could authorize, where there's that nice integration with Google Drive and your actual Brightspace account as well. So this is really nice, where again, where you could like basically sync in your Google Docs or forms or slides, any of that stuff. You can do it right into your course and sync things with our students, so they can hand in their work with a Google Doc or slides and all those kind of things. So you could choose to authorize your account if you haven't already. Okay, sorry, Tammy. There's no problem exiting your authentication. I will have to look into that, Tammy. So I'm going to write that down. Sorry if I didn't see it before now, your message. And I'm just writing it down, your whole name. And I can look in the back end to make sure that you have an account. And you know what? It takes me 2 minutes to create an account for you, okay? So even maybe if we take a moment, I'll create it for you.
Tina,
Okay.
when I tried to do the syncing of
Yes.
my Google Apps, it told me there were one error found in the information you submitted. The
Okay.
Google App account does not exist.
Okay, and do you see what I see right now? Like, did you go through this whole process?
No.
Okay, so I have a feeling, my guess is on that case, and we could definitely look at this after, so you're not going to be recorded during this, is that you probably have under your work umbrella of your Chrome, you may have a personal account, and that might be just creating a bit of a bang heads of what account information is being shared.
That could be.
Yeah, so it just be a matter of moments to clean that up for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we can do that after for you, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. And then just down below, these are the carousels. I don't really highlight these carousels anymore. They used to be something I'd have actually predominantly at the top of this page. And there are some neat carousels in here for those of you who are teaching the elementary grades, and they do go all the way up to, I think, grade 6. Some great learning, some great interactive activities, but they're all Flash-based. So issues with Flash-based stuff, as you probably know, is that that's going to go away soon, that we're not going to be able to see a lot of Flash stuff. And a lot of our students are in Chromebooks that just don't support Flash. So I don't tend to highlight these activities as much anymore. So I'm going to mark my way back up to the top. And I'm going to talk about the left-hand side for just a moment. So the left-hand side, this is where we're talking about the courses that the ministry is offering. So for example, over the years, many, many years now, there has been course content created based on our Ontario curriculum. So educators have been getting together, they've been paid to create these great resources using certain templates that they may have had. And over the years, the templates have evolved so that they're nicer looking, a little more intuitive, and all these kind of things. And of course, as curriculum changes, content has to change. So what is really nice here is that you have some content. So what I'm going to do is give you a moment if you're in, and actually, Tammy, during this time, while people are going to maybe take a moment and navigate and take a look at some courses, course content stuff, I'm going to create your account for you. And here we have all elementary courses. So for those of you who are in an elementary classroom, if you just take a moment, this will open up a new tab for you. Secondary, all public courses. Don't ask me why they're named like this. I have nothing to do with that. Take a moment, please. Dig around, take a look at the course content, and you will be able to see, let's say if you're teaching, like say Barbara, you're talking about drama, so maybe see if there's any drama content that you like, phys ed, chemistry, physics, or whatever your guys are doing, you may want to take a look. So I'm just going to pause my microphone, and I'm going to slip over to my other screen here and create Amy's account real quick.
Thanks, I'm in.
Excellent. All right, perfect. Okay, so now that Tammy's in, and I'm just gonna make sure I should be still good on this account. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to look at your, or hopefully if you had a chance to look at some of those public courses, and sorry, Tammy, you wouldn't have had much time there because you had to wait to get in. But like I am, for example, in the secondary panel right here, for all the different courses that are offered. Now, please keep in mind when they do this, they only give you a preview, so they only give you maybe a first unit. So if you were looking, for example, at the English, and you looked at the ENG 2D, and you actually see the year 2 as to how new this this course is, so which is really nice. So it's nice to have the newer courses because, as I mentioned to you before, it's a little more, it looks nicer. So you go into the course information and say course overview. So this just gives you an example of what it could look like. But like I said, they just give you a little sliver of it, of what it's going to look like. So they give you this preview public, course overview, course outline, syllabus, and all these kind of things. Okay, rubrics and so on. So what's really nice though is that if you were to look at any of these courses and you were to get these courses, let's say nonfiction text, so chapter 1, what's past is prologue. So having that conversation, and there's the content and so on, and they actually integrate when you do look on it, if you do get this course content, they integrate discussion forums, they integrate assignments and so on, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But what's nice is you don't have to keep all this either. So let's say you actually grabbed a course, and I show you how that works, and putting a course in your shell, and that's what we call them. Your courses are shells. So if you envision this shell that you're going to fill in content, you can change that content to make it whatever you like. Or don't even grab the ministry content. If you want, you could just have even your own content. Or don't put any content at all. Just have this as your space that you can go and you can meet with your students. You can have announcements. You could have them hand things in or whatever that looks like. Even the discussion forum is really nice because even in Google Classroom, this stream provides an opportunity for to have conversations. But I think the discussion forum here, a learning management system, which probably many of you have been a part of online learning in the past, and in those environments, it's just nice flowy of a thread that started, and then you answer in those threads. Any questions or comments about the preview courses?
So when you do those preview courses, how do you see the rest of them?
So that's a good question. So what you'll want is, this is where it's going to take me back to the course registration that I was just mentioning. So in the past, what would have happened is that if teachers went to the preview courses and they saw something they liked, so let's say that was that 2D course, they liked it, or at least wanted to see the rest of it and put it in their course to decide if they wanted it or not, they would have to send an email like through Helpstar or directly to me, and I would have to put the course content in. So to kind of get rid of that middle management piece where you have less steps to get what you want, I've been building this year this course self-registration. So I'm going to click on that now. It opens up a new tab. So I've created this website that's tied into this, and I give some instructions here for like a great little video that I've created. Oh, of course it stays great. A little video here on how to import elementary course content. But for secondary people, I've also created a video for you because it could look a little bit differently for both platforms. So I want to make sure I met the needs of both platforms. And then down below, what you'll see here is I have it, I try to organize it as best as I can. It could be prettier. I do get that. I just been more about not making it necessarily aesthetically pleasing as to getting the content in there because it is a bit of a process. So let's say, again, back to the grade 10 English course, let's say I want it. So I try to organize it alphabetically under each grade. So there's the ENG 2D. So let's say I wanted that course content. So this is how I've done it. And this is how I explain it in my videos, where if I click on the ENG 2D, it says to register for the course. So this is how I created it. I decided, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have these course shells. So where it's just including this master content. So this ENG 2D course with all the content, with everything that's is not stripped out like the preview stuff, with all the stuff. If I just have teachers register for it. So let's say I register for it right now. I'll just do that. And you would do the same thing. It just has your name and so on. And you're just going to click submit. And don't worry if you don't remember these steps, because as I mentioned, that's weird. This is already there in my instructions on this page. I have those videos to help support you in doing this. Now, I'm not going to actually go to the course that I just registered for. The whole idea is once you've registered, you're in as a teacher. So that means when you're a teacher of content, that means you can actually take the content from that course and carry it over. And that may seem like a very ambiguous idea or thought, like, well, I don't know where you're going with this and what that means, but a visual will probably help you here. So in your head, if you think about it, I have just registered for a course. It's just like you registering online for a course of some kind, okay? So I'm registered for it, but being not a student in this course, I'm now registered and I am a teacher. I now have access to the content. So let's say I had an English course and I like a course shell. So I'm tied to Power School. Let's say I'm teaching ENG 2D and I want to take that course now, the course content from the course I just registered and dump it in. Okay. And again, if this is like going way over your head, please don't worry about that. I don't want to be all about course registration. This is just about how to get the content. So I'll just try to model this once. And then again, if you wanted to see this in the videos that I've done there, by all means, or of course this recording. So if I have a course that I can throw this into, I'm actually, I have kind of like a dumping ground. So bear with me because I don't actually have courses, of course, because I haven't taught in the classroom in a while. So I'm just going to open up a math course, which is just going to make you laugh. But in this math course, I'm going to show you how I'm going to grab this, put this English content in, because it doesn't really matter what your course is called. The whole idea is you're the owner of this course and you could do whatever you want, which is basically the idea. So I'm the owner of this math course. I can do whatever I want. And what I want to do is I want to bring in the course content. Now, keep in mind, this nav bar actually does not look like the regular nav bar. So just bear with me for a second. What I'm going to do is go to, I want to edit my course. Okay. So your course is going to look a little bit different, but the whole idea is you're going to have a beautiful, because I created really nice nav bars for you guys in your courses. So you have a nice icon and it's called Edit Course. So I'm going to click Edit Course because in the end, no matter what the button looks like, you're going to get to this page. And now all I can think about is how do I get this ENG 2D content into my course? I'm going to go to this thing called Import Export, which makes sense, right? I want to import course content. So I'm going to search for an offering. And I try to be smart with my naming conventions. So the course the ENG 2D course that I registered for is actually like ENG 2D-TLDSB. So that way, if you want to search for the course you just registered for, I would just have to do a search TLDSB, similar to like that 1920 I did earlier, searching for courses. So I clicked on TLDSB and it should be, okay, so I have a few things obviously that are registered through my course because it's just the nature of my role. So here's the ENG 2D, I'm pointing as if you can see me do that. So the ENG 2D, and this is the 1920, but it's the TLDSB. So this is the course content that I want to add into my course. So I just go add selected. And then I will say, and you do have an option here, I can copy all components or select components. So select components means maybe I just want the course offering stuff. So I just want all the ministry, like the textbook type look of what I want, but I don't want the discussion forums. I don't want the quizzes that are built in. I don't want the Dropbox stuff. If you don't want any of that, by all means, go to select components. But you know what? I'm just kind of looking at it as like, I'm just going to grab the whole kabam and just see what I want to use. So I want it all. So copy all components. And then it may take, oh, you can see obviously I've been playing in here a lot. So you see other course packages that I have loaded into this course, probably for demonstrations similar to this. So the ENG is going to be copying. I don't have to sit here and wait for it. I can just go back and do other things in Brightspace that I want to, and just come back to it and just see when it's done. Everyone okay so far? Any questions or thoughts before I move on?
Tina, when I drop it there, am I dropping it into Google or am I dropping it somewhere else?
When you mean you're dropping it, wait, sorry, back up, where do you mean?
So when I type in 1920, I see my current course listings.
Yes, yes.
Is that course listing through Google, or is that through PowerSchool? What is that through?
Okay, I got you. PowerSchool. So PowerSchool talks to Brightspace every night. So that what's really nice about this is that, let's say your course, for example, let's say you have, give me a course that you're teaching right now.
SPH for you.
Okay, SPH for you. So it's a physics course, right?
Yep.
So in your physics course, what's really nice is, let's say you have, your 20 students that are in there, and a student drops out today. By tomorrow, if you, in your class list, if you have your course activated, that student will actually be removed from your Brightspace course automatically. Things like that. That's why
it's designed to replace Google Classroom.
No, you know what? This has actually been here a lot longer than Google Classroom. So just nobody was really using it because, probably for many reasons, Google Classroom, you know what? It's simple. It's just so simple to use. And Brightspace, I'll be honest, it's so robust, but sometimes it could be a little overwhelming for people because there's just so much. There's just so much a part of it. Yeah, so Tammy, so explaining courses for you right now, you're not tied to any courses. I can add you to a course, to any of your teacher courses. I can do that for you after this. With your teacher's permission, we can get you in there, and then you could be co-teaching in a class with your teacher in Brightspace. Yeah, so no, Iggy, this is not replacing Google Classroom. Google Classroom came in afterwards, and again, just because of maybe just lack of knowledge that this even existed, or maybe just thinking that's it's a lot to take on to maybe learn and play with. There's probably many factors as to why it hasn't been used.
So if there was content here that I liked, is there a way for me to move it from wherever I just placed it to a Google document?
That's a good question. It's been asked a lot. No, unfortunately, the whole idea is Ontario content. They want it into, they call this their Ontario VLE, so virtual learning environment. They want it hosted here. The reason why they're being very sticky about that is because only Ontario students have access to this product, the way it's built. So it ensures that their content is not being shared outside of Ontario. And in Google Classroom, I know we're tied down to our district, but unfortunately, if they make it open so you can do it there's nothing stopping you then for sharing it on the web, or like in another platform to share it to others in Australia, or UK or wherever.
So this is strictly for me to have a look at as prompting an idea. Is that how I would use this content?
You could absolutely. You could use it like as if you had another textbook in front of you, right? Like that's exactly how you could use it if you wanted to. Or what you could do is actually have your students come into the course, and you can have them go through the content as well and assign things from it if you wanted to. And I can show you how that looks like.
Okay.
So you're
I'm not sure I would this experience I've had so far since April 6th does not imply that I want to do it that way.
Oh no, I'm totally with you, and I'm not saying that you should or could, but even your exposure to this environment is a little something. And then again, if anything, if this just gives you another resource for you, like another textbook, I know I always loved it when I could have more resources. I think it's great. Whatever I can help you with.
Yep. Thanks.
No problem. And Barb, I think you were going to maybe say something.
Yeah, I think I was just confirming. I think it was Iggy said. So I'd have to get my class to come into Brightspace.
Yeah, so all they'd have to do though is exactly what I just showed you, where they would go to they could just go to that waffle and click on Brightspace.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me show you for just a second. So in, let's say, this math course, for example, now that I put in this content, what does it look like? Where does it go? There is a course content page, and you can see, obviously, I've been playing around in this course a lot. So what happens is that it just kind of loads up here. You can see the ENG 2D course, and then I have all of it here. So the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, poetry, drama, and you can look into that. So I wish I did now a physics course, but you could see then all the content and go through it and decide what you like to use. Let's say, like you just mentioned, for his own teaching practice, like just something he can utilize an idea or some of the content, or having the actual students coming in. So I'm going to take a step back on that then. Let's say just for exposure, just so that, let's say, the kids do click on the waffle, and let's say even for just easy access to the Sora application here, Encore videos, Zello, and all these pieces, if you wanted them to even have access to that, because they don't have at this moment that quick and easy access like you guys do and maybe in your intranet. That's one thing. But let's say you did have your course, and let's say you want to get your students in there, at least so that it exists. Let me show you just quickly what you can do to how to turn that on. So if I wanted to, if you don't mind, Iggy, do you mind if I impersonate you for just a moment?
Fill your boots.
Okay. So I want to show you this for a couple of reasons, and don't worry, I'm going to blur this part in my live video when we have student information come up. But what I'd like to show you is what's really neat in terms of control in this environment is you can actually impersonate any of your students. So what that means, it sounds like really creepy that you're doing this, but it's not creepy. What it is where, let's say, a student's having technical issues, or they're saying, oh, I already handed that in, I swear I put it in there. You can impersonate that child, and you can see exactly what they see. You could see the Dropbox, everything they've done, like it's all there. And even as a teacher on the back end, you can see when you go to class list for any of your courses, you can even see the last time they've logged in. So just little things like that, which is pretty cool and sophisticated, a little bit beyond just the simplicity of the Google Classroom. So I'm going to go, this is a little different than you guys. So you guys don't have this option right here, so just bear with me. This is just going to be my own way of doing this. And I'm going to show you how you would, as a teacher, when I impersonate Iggy, so it's kind of like, I'm going to then show you how he can impersonate his students. Okay, so right now I can even see, like right here, this is information. I can see that Iggy is online. I can see his first login was today. And I can see when he did this afternoon. But the idea is for me now in here, I can now go to impersonate user. Yes, I'm going to impersonate. And then I will see this in the world of Iggy versus just my own platform. So I would see the courses that he had pinned. I would see the courses he's assigned to. So you can see all of this, okay? So I could see that if you wanted to find that physics course we were mentioning and then pinning it, I could help them out with that. Sometimes they even do that to help our teachers to find their courses. I'll just do that 1920 as we just talked about. And there's the SPH for you that you mentioned. So and just, if you don't mind, just going to model this again. I'm just going to pin that. And what happens when I pin it is if I go back out for just a second and I go back here, it's now, oops, let me just go click on the X. It now goes to the very top. And also, something we didn't get to on the right-hand side yet is now any pinned courses are easily accessible on the right-hand side as well. And this works for our students the students' courses are there, so it's quick and easy to access this way as well. And notice it said inactive. So what it means by inactive, it's not that because Iggy hasn't been here and he hasn't done anything. It's not like, okay, lazy Iggy, you're inactive. It's not like that. Inactive means your students are not going to populate. So you haven't turned on the course. So I'm going to show you how to turn on your course. And if you had students in here, how can you impersonate the student if you were curious as to doing that? So what you would do is that edit course button. Remember I mentioned there's a really nice button for edit course. This is what that math course should have had. I have to change that nav bar. So edit course. And yes, there was things like with, importing your course, there's the import export content and all these kind of things. What I'm going to do is look at the very first one is course offering information. So looking at this, you can change maybe the display. You maybe don't want that image banner on there. You could turn that off so you don't have an image banner. You can actually change that image banner. So whatever, just kind of like Google Classroom, you know how we have that picture there. You can change it just as much as control and those kind of things. Here we have it where you can say course is active. And if I chose to make the course active and click save, your students are not going to populate right now. What happens is, as I mentioned to you before, it talks to PowerSchool overnight. So this is where if you, again, you've had 20 some odd students in your class, those 20 students would then be loaded. Does that mean students are going to get an email saying, okay, you're now in this SPH for you course in Brightspace? No, they're not going to have a clue. Unless you take them here, they're going to have no idea. So I wouldn't worry too much about that piece, that there's any alerts or notifications that the students are going to be receiving any emails. Okay? So I can cancel out of that. And I'm going to...
Is there a way to deactivate it after I've activated it?
You just do exactly what I just did there, was to deactivate the, so you just turn off the activation piece, and then overnight the students should be removed. But if they're not removed, if you go to class list, any students listed under class list, oh, looks like they're already here, but it's not active. Okay, so the students already loaded in. So the students can't see it though because you didn't activate the course. So this is kind of interesting that your students are actually here. But this is great for demonstration purposes. So I can actually just get rid of all those. So let's say if I click this box right here, Iggy, what I could do is now unenroll them. Okay?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. So let me show you one other thing for in terms of great learning is where if I click on this drop down arrow, very similar to what I just did with Iggy to impersonate, take a look. I can now even jump ship from impersonating Iggy to now to this student. So this is that prime example, as I was just mentioning, where, hey, how can I see that, you know, what Hannah's been up to, if she's been up to anything and she's been having trouble, so maybe I can go in and impersonate and help troubleshoot with her, which I think gives teachers a lot more control than you normally have in other environments.
Feels like Big Brother.
It does feel like a little bit like Big Brother. Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. But there's kind of something sweet behind it as an educator, like even just to help the kids sometimes. Or, you know, I'm sure you've had it too. Like, I'm not going to say all my 2P kids classes, but there's definitely some classes where, you know, I have students who swear they've done something. And it's kind of nice to just like, well, really? You know, because in the Google Classroom, the docs is a little harder to sometimes to prove those kind of things, but it is sometimes interesting when you can just say, you haven't even been in here for a whole week. Anyways, so I'll just get out of there. I'll stop impersonating Iggy, and I'll go back to the main landing page for just a moment. So as I mentioned, you have your courses here that you could always go to, and I can now probably, just because I was just in that course, no. Okay, so if I wanted to as well, just to show you when you're in your course shell, as I mentioned, what can you see? What would you want to do? Like, how do I get around? So here I am, for example, this is obviously one of my master shells. This is with the TLDSB. So I'm not actually going to probably break anything here because I don't want anyone to not get their content. But it's a prime example of, let's say, okay, I don't want maybe mountains as my image. How do I change that? You can click on that, just very simple, very intuitive. You just click on those 3 buttons or the 3 dots, change the image, and you can upload an image if you want. You could even remove the banner or even customize it so that it says what you want it to say. It doesn't have to be the course code. It could just be, you know, Miss Smith's math class, whatever you like. Scrolling down, as you can see, you have your own news area. So this is the spot where you could, if you had your students in here, they could see your news items, very similar to the Google Classroom stream. You can have videos embedded. You could have any of your Google Docs stuff embedded here, and so on. Has really nice visuals, animated GIFs, whatever you're looking for, audio files. There really is no limitations to what you can have in any of your posts, whether it's your news feed and so on.
So if I put information there, do I lose ownership of it?
No, not at all. So you mean like your Google Doc or anything? You mean you put other content in there?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just like it's just really just read only. They can click on it to maybe see, like it's really actually more of an embedded feature so they can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, and to demonstrate that, like if I created a news item real quick, I could create what is my headline. So this could be testing online. And I can put what I want here. And what's neat is I have this really powerful button here. It's called Insert Stuff. And this is where you're going to see all your options. I can upload, let's say you have that PDF that's even on your computer or your Word document, something like that. You can upload it here. Course offering files. So when you get into a course, there's some files that you can save actually in Brightspace if you wanted to. It's not usually used. This is like pre-Google Drive days almost, right? YouTube videos, if there's a particular YouTube video you want to embed, Flickr image, just insert a link, embed code. So there's more of that embedding piece again. So if you have something that's really snazzy that you want to embed here, maybe you can even grab your Google Calendar. If you go to the sharing settings of any Google Calendar that you have, like your Google Classroom calendar, for example, you can go to the share settings, turn it on to be public, and you can actually grab the embed code and you can put that in as well. Learn 360, good news. Learn 360, if you do use Learn 360, is now going to be available again for the next school year. I just found out that OSAPAC has renewed their license with Learn 360. And as you saw from my announcement, Equatio is now here. So maybe, hey, Iggy, for your physics piece, this would be really sweet. But of course, you can use this in the Google environment as well, where there's lots of, you can do your subscripts, for example, little things like that, which is really nice and handy. Okay. And I'm going to just cancel out of that. So those are all those things there. You have obviously your normal text and so on. You have just put in an image, a link just directly, not having to go to insert stuff. And if I go here, insert symbol, lines, and so on, and just your basic usage here. If I go to these dots, you have to see a little more. This is an equation editor, but I'm going to tell you now, for those of you who are in, who want a true editor, I would use the Equatio again, because it has the integration with Desmos. So for any graphs that you want, I would be utilizing that for sure. And it's very intuitive again for any of your, even square roots and cube roots and whatever you're doing. You can choose when this is available. What I really like about this is scheduling your news. So when do you want it to be available? And this is pretty much in all of Brightspace. So even with a discussion forum, even for quizzes, you have complete control as to when you want kids to see it and what that looks like. Okay, attachments and so on. And the release conditions really just means maybe who's going to see it. You can specify to maybe even just particular students. So similar to Google Classroom in that way, that you can differentiate your posts. So back up here for just a second. So if I want to go to the course home, it gets me back to my landing page, edit course. That's where I can just turn it on. Don't worry about the LOR stuff right now. It's not necessarily you need. This content though, content is where you're going to go. And that's where, if I had course content in here, which I do, because this is the course content that people are going to actually grab and put into their courses, the course content is here. Okay, very user or visually friendly and so on. Discussion forums, again, as I mentioned, for those of you who've taken online courses before, you would have done maybe discussion forums. And here's what I meant by the built-in discussion forums. I didn't create this. This is actually from the civics course that it was built through the ministry, and it has those conversations. So Iggy, back to what you were asking before, it's like, maybe I don't have to have students in here, but hey, man, that's a really good discussion question. So maybe I want to add this into my next conversation that I have, whether it's online or if I put in a Google Doc or whatever it is. So maybe this gives you some great ideas moving forward. And obviously, you're not teaching civics, but you get the idea. And Dropbox is where students can hand things in as well. So in your course content, this is pretty much, the quizzes. I do want to just talk about this really quickly because I do know, I can't believe it's already 3:55. But this is where in quizzes, they do have built-in quizzes already, but you can create quizzes even yourself. And again, back to with your physics piece, probably the Equatio would be really sweet in terms of having a really nice equation editor. But for these ones that are already here, I can take a look at the quizzes. I can change the quizzes. I don't have to keep them the way that they have it built. Okay, so how many questions? So here's the questions already, multiple choice. And usually they really good providing, and you can do that, choose providing feedback on the questions themselves as based on, so they can get that immediate feedback. You can see along here, restrictions, assessments, submission views, and so on. And not necessarily in the quiz piece, but there is in any way you want to do it. There are rubric builders in here. There's a whole assessment piece in Brightspace that you could dig into if you wanted to. But I don't want to overwhelm you with all that, because I think for the most part, what I wanted everyone just to even be aware of, for those of you who are in the room right now, is like, well, what the heck is Brightspace? So I wanted you to be aware it exists, and that it does have these neat links at the top, and I create all that. So if there's a link here that you think that should be here that's not here, whether it's for educators and or students, let me know. I'm totally open with that. I can just add whatever you want. And if there's any big announcements that should be made district-wide for the people who do come in here, we can post them here as well. Yeah, and that's basically it. And hopefully that, if anything, at least you get the course content that you can maybe use to help support you in your learning with your students in the next, let's say, only month, right?
Thanks, Tina. That's great. I have one little question.
Of course.
I think my internet cut out in the attic, and I missed about 2 or 3 minutes while I switched computers to another.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay.
So I go into the public courses, I see one I like, and then you said I had to register for it. I think I missed the where and how you register for the course. Are you enroll in it, or like?
So to register for a course to get the content, is that what you mean?
Yeah, to get all the content.
It's this guy right here. It's very simple. It's just the course itself. This is the very first button.
Okay, that's
and here's the thing too, is because I've just been putting the courses in over this year, so you're not going to find everything there. So if you have a course that you want listed there, course content, so look in the preview pages first, because maybe there just isn't any content. Let's say there's a visual arts course that you're teaching and there just may not be any content for that. Check the preview courses. If you do see something there, but it's not in my list, do not be surprised, because I'm just building them as I go. So you just have to email me or put it in Helpstar, whichever one you want. Either way, I get it, and then I'll put the course in for you. It does take me about 20 to 30 minutes to build it. But other than that, it's worth it, because then I know that future teachers can grab it too.
Okay, because there's no in your arts courses are a little sparse.
Yeah, and maybe in the preview courses, is that the case too?
When I went to all public courses, I think there was just a visual arts course.
Yep. And that's probably why I use that one as an example. Because unfortunately, that's kind of that's the unfortunate for your subject area for sure. I'm sure that's not the first time.
That's all right. The English stuff, I think it will be very useful.
Okay, good. I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions or comments before you guys leave? All right. What I can do is, no worries. I'll stop the recording though, and Iggy, if you wanted to, you just stick around and I can help you troubleshoot your account thing with the Google stuff.